So I'm wondering, who here has ears? Have you got ears? You've got ears? Have you got ears? Fantastic. I don't know what would happen if we didn't have ears. Well, what do our ears do? Does anyone know? Make you hear. You can hear things. Can you say that into the microphone? You can hear cars coming. Yeah. So what would happen if I started speaking like this? You can't hear me, can you? No. So when I'm speaking, I make a noise, but when I'm not speaking, I don't make a noise, but when I'm speaking, you can hear it with your ears. That's the way we can hear, isn't it? So I do have a little story. I don't know if you can hear this story. So when I came down from Scotland, I had a host family, and Malcolm kept on saying to me, can you hear me? So I said, yes, I can. And he kept on saying, do you ken? Which means, do you understand? So I understood. I said, yeah, I can. But Elizabeth, his wife, didn't understand. She didn't ken because she didn't know that was Scottish language. That was what I usually heard. So because I heard it and I understood it, it made perfect sense to me. But Elizabeth was hearing things and she didn't know what it meant, so it didn't make her any the wiser. So I wonder if today you can understand what Letty's going to say. So I want you to open your ears and see if you can hear this message and know what she's going to say.
Blah 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 blah. Did you understand what I was saying? No. You understood what I said? What was I saying? It was blah, blah, that's right. I hope you were all paying attention. Now, sometimes though, I think when we have someone standing up at the front at church and they get ready to speak, we treat it a little bit like they're just going blah, 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 blah. And we don't really pay attention. So maybe we're just on our phones. If you've got a phone, it's easy to get distracted by your phone. Maybe you just think, oh, it's just not for me. I've got other things I'd rather do. Maybe I've seen one of my friends at church and I want to talk to them instead. Or maybe on a day like today, it's just so hot, we're just going, falling asleep. Do we ever do that, do you think? But why do we come to church? Who can tell me? Why do we think we come to church? Yeah. To learn about God? Yeah, exactly. What else? Any other reasons? Yeah? To learn the Bible. Brilliant. Yeah. To learn about God and the Holy Spirit. We've got fantastic answers. So there are a number of reasons why we come to church. One of them is to learn about God. That's absolutely right. Another reason we come together is to be together as a family. The Bible teaches that Christians are one big family and we have to come and actually spend time together. So this is a great big family gathering this morning. How do you think we learn about God? Anyone got any ideas? How do we learn about God? Yeah? By reading the Bible. Any other ideas? By singing about God. That's brilliant. That's great. Well, one of the really obvious ways that we learn about God is by using our ears. Can we touch our ears? Yeah, that's it. We learn about God by listening to God. So I hope that we can come here today really eager to hear what God might be saying to us. Can I have the first slide, please? is a verse from our Bible passage today. It says, "He who has ears, let him hear." So I want to ask you as we start the service today, are we listening? Are we ready? Do we want to hear from God today?
Yeah, so our theme this morning is all about planting seeds. So I went on a little hunt over looking about food, looking about where we get food from. So here's our video. How are we doing? It's Lydia. I'm here at the kitchen, ready for my soup. I'm so hungry. I wonder, what ingredients have we got in this soup? Where did the food come from? Should we find out together? Let's go. So here I am at the supermarket where we can get all sorts of fruit and veg and super fresh foods, but also some packaged food where we get our dinners for the evening. But I wonder, where do the supermarkets get food when they've run out? Let's go find out. So I am now in my host family's beautiful garden. It is so stunning. There are so many different kinds of plants. I don't know if you can see any flowers here. We have some basil here. It's gorgeous, and it's taken some time and energy and effort. And it is taking the seed to go in the soil and produce this beautiful plant by the help of sun and water. Now, that is what can make our food, and that is where supermarkets can get food from. People grow in farms, and farmers sell the food to the markets, and the markets sell to us, and that's where we get our food. Isn't that so cool? Yeah, let's find out more. Hey Ho Baptist Church.
So hands up this morning. Have you ever planted a seed or done some gardening? A lot of you have, nearly all of you, but not quite all. So hands down. So adults, hands up if you consider yourself a keen gardener. There must be a few. Yes, there's a couple of keen gardeners in the room. So kids, look around, because those are the people you need to ask advice
Keep your
from
hands
when you
up
want
if
to
you
grow
can.
things. So our Bible story today is all about gardening and planting seeds. So what happens when we plant a seed in the ground? Can we have the next slide? So when we put a seed in the ground, we put it in and we cover it up with soil and we water it, and then what happens next? Yeah, what happens? It starts to grow. Which way does it grow? Up. Now, sort of, it kind of grows up, and that's it, exactly, it grows up. It also grows down. There we go, we've got on us on the slides. It grows roots. Does anyone know what the roots do? What do the roots do? Yeah, over here. What do the roots do? Brilliant. They suck up water and nutrients from the soil like the food for the plant, and that's what makes it grow. Brilliant. So we need those roots. And then what happens is it sprouts. Next slide. It sprouts and we get little shoots coming up. And then what happens next? Can we have the next one? What happens next? Who can tell me? Yeah, Oscar, what happens next? Sorry, flowers? Yeah, just before the flowers, what happens? Look on the screen, what do you see happening? I can see a hand up over here. It turns into a bud, and then look, it's breaking forth into leaves. So it gets bigger and bigger. And eventually, like Oscar said, it might get flowers on it, and eventually, if it's the right kind of plant or tree, it might get fruit in it, which we can eat. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. And so, now that we understand a little bit about how gardening works, how things grow, Mary's going to come and read our Bible reading this morning. Oh, yeah, can we have a microphone?
I've got quite a loud voice, but not that loud. Okay, then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear.
Thank you. That is so fab. So I don't know if you understood what Mary was saying. I don't know. Do you ken? Do you understand? Do you know? Because if you don't know, you don't ken. That's not good. So I'm going to try and explain a little bit of what went on there, okay? So we had 4 different types of soil. Now, I don't know if you remember the seed going into the soil on one of the earlier slides, but that is the soil that we're aiming for. Now, that is not the same as this first soil. Can we go to the next slide? So this next soil has a picture of seeds being thrown and scattered onto the path. Now, this path is not like the path you see outside, like the pavement, with little shoots coming out of it. It's more like you have a big field, right? All this field, and now I've trodden on every day all the way around it. So I've made my very own pathway. So if you put seeds in this bit of the soil, it's going to grow lovely, right? Beautiful. But if you put it on where I've trodden on, it's not going to grow lovely because it doesn't have anywhere to dig deep. And so a little birdie is going to come and eat it. No good at all. No good. That's not. Imagine you're going to grow a lovely flower and it just got eaten by the birds. That would be rubbish, wouldn't it? It'd be terrible. You'd be so sad. So that's not what we want. That's the first kind of soil. The second, can we move it along again? So this one is more like a clay ground. It's more clay than soil, really. And it's hard and it's crumbly and it doesn't have the water and the nutrients that the plant needs. And so something does grow. I don't know if you can see this. Something does grow, and that's great. But the sun comes, and like we were saying earlier, roots suck up the water and give it life. But if you don't have any roots, like it won't in this clay dirt, then it won't survive. The sun will kill it. That's crazy, isn't it? It's a good sun, but it needs to have the balance of water. And so that is not a good soil for number 2. And the third one, if we can move on. So we also have thorns coming out. I don't think that's quite the right. Perfect, thank you. So we also have these weeds. This way, weeds. They look beautiful and they grow super fast, so that's great. But what actually happens is our lovely flowers and plants that we want to grow get strangled by these. So we need to get rid of them. But that's the kind of soil we can often get because it's so hard to keep on top of your gardening, isn't it? Especially when the sun comes out, all the dandelions they fly everywhere. You blow them, and then they just go everywhere, don't they? And they just crop up. And it's so hard to get rid of them. So we have one more soil, which is a fruitfulness soil. There's one more. This one is beautiful. Look at all this good growth. Isn't that so good? Now that soil is a kind that takes a lot of work, that is in this great, amazing soil that's been growing. It has lots of great nutrients in it. It has all the rocks taken out of it. It has no thorns because the farmer has gone around and taken out all the weeds every day, all the rocks every day. And he's let it grow in a really great environment. And what's happened is the roots have gone down and got some water. So against the sun, it makes a beautiful flower. So those are the things that we're talking about this morning. I'm going to hand over to Letty.
So we're now going to think, what is this parable about? We've talked a lot about gardening, but what is the parable trying to say? Is this just some instructions for how we should grow things in the garden, or does it have a deeper meaning? So this parable is not just about gardening, it's also about the kingdom of heaven. But it is a bit difficult to understand, and that's why Jesus says, next slide, whoever has ears, let him hear. Lucas is there. He's done it. Well done. thing, isn't it? It's so easy for us to stop listening. And we have to ask God to help us sometimes to listen. So Jesus, in this parable, is talking about the kingdom of heaven. He who has ears, let him hear. We really need Jesus' help to understand what this parable means. So we're going to try and explain it a bit more now.
So, I don't know if you've seen, but I have something very special that we cannot let Letty see. I don't know if you can see it, but she is going to be my special assistant. So I'm going to hide it. Letty, can you come to the stage, please? Okay, this is our beautiful soil. Look how good looking she is. Woo! Okay, so I need you to close your eyes, if that's okay. Would you stretch out your hands? So this is our bed. Now what we're going to do is we are going to plant some seeds all over our lovely soil. Now, everybody, I want you to watch out because there's going to be an evil one, an enemy that will come up very soon. And so whenever you see him coming with something to tie Letty, or something to take the sweets, I want you to say, boo, 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 boo. Very good. Boo, boo. Oh, no. Look at our bed. It's empty. I just planted it. And now it's all gone. All the seeds are gone. Thank you, assistant. That's no good, is it? Well, that's what happened in the Bible story with Jesus. It's because she was not deep enough. She had no root. That's what we were talking about earlier, remember? And so the bird came and ate it, and that's not good. Now Letty's going to show us the next part of the parable.
So how about the next bit, the rocky ground? We saw that the flower came out quite quickly, but then it also died really quickly as well. And these are the people who hear about God, and they're really happy and excited about it, and it all looks good. And the flower grows. But when there's pressure, on it all goes wrong. Maybe something bad happens, or somebody gets sick, or maybe somebody makes fun of them for loving God. And they decide they don't want to know God anymore. And the problem with them is that they don't have any root. So everything can look pretty, and everything seems like it's going well, but it's not. Because, my lovely husband, Mark, picked these beautiful flowers for me today. Aren't they lovely? Aren't they lovely? They look lovely, don't they? Look, we've got nice yellow petals. And it all looks lovely, but what's going to happen to these in a couple of days? Do we know? They're going to dry up. So I've got another example. Because these don't have any root, do they? They're just picked and stuck in the vase. Maybe with a bit of water. So I'm not a good gardener. So these are genuinely flowers from my garden that I picked this morning. Are they alive? Are they doing well? Am I a good gardener? No, they're looking a bit dead. Exactly. So these looked lovely a couple of weeks ago, but actually they had very small roots as well. The roots don't go down very deep. Do you see? They don't go down very deep. So when it got all dry and the sun got very hot as we've had at the moment, they all dried up and they died. And that's exactly the same as in our Bible story. People are the same. God is the person that looks after us and sustains us. So sometimes if someone hears about God and they're really happy, but the bad time comes, they need to be connected and learning and getting fed by God. Otherwise, they will wither like those flowers did under the heat. They need to be rooted in Jesus. And that's why we need to make sure that we're listening to what God has to say to us and that we're growing from him. He who has ears, let him hear.
Fantastic. I'm going to make you stay up there if that's okay. Because now we have a lovely plant. Look, I just grew that in my spare time. Wasn't really busy, you know. Grew this gorgeous shoot. But I'm not really watching what's going on. And I know that there's some troublemaker coming around that we have to say boo to. And he's going to come with all these ties that will choke our gorgeous plant. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, no. Oh. Very aggressive. So look, all the weeds are strangling Letty. And oh no. Oh no, she's tied up, and now what else is he going to get? Look, he's bringing something over. Everybody say boo again. Boo. Uh-oh, look at all this. What is this? We've got thyme. Got some thyme. What? Oh, what's this one? That's health. I think that one fell off. We've got work. This one's daily troubles. Oh my goodness, look how weighed down she is. Money. What, friends and family. Look at all these burdens. Now some of these things are really good things, like friends and family, right? But sometimes friends and family can be a burden and can be quite heavy. Now, everybody, do you think that this plant looks so good anymore? Not very healthy, is she? What needs to happen? She needs someone to help her to pull off all the burdens, all the thorns, all the nasty things that pull her down, and she needs to let go of them all and grow. That's a lot better, isn't it? I'm going to clear that up now while the last point is made.
So what was the final soil? We've had those three. Who can remember what the final soil is? The good soil. Fantastic. Thank you. The good soil. So the good soil produces loads and loads of fruit. Can I have the next slide, please? Do you think that being good soil means that we turn into some sort of tree person? Maybe the tree person would have some strawberries growing out of my fingers, or an apple growing out of my armpit, and a bunch of bananas growing out of my knee. Maybe? Do you think that's what it means? No? Yes? That doesn't make sense. Okay, fair enough. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that we literally turn into fruit trees. Abby's looking disappointed about that. We're not going to turn into fruit trees. Instead, we produce different types of fruit. So we become better people. We become people who are loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, and in control of ourselves. We become people who make the world a better place. But we can't do that if we don't stay rooted in good soil and listen to God. So which kind of soil would you like to be? Let's have the next slide. Which kind of soil would you like to be? Is that the next slide? Okay, that one, that's the one. Do you want to be one of the bad soils, or do you want to be the good soil? Yeah, you want to be the good soil. It would be very strange if we wanted to be the bad and dead soil. We want to be like these amazing, abundant sunflowers. We want to be alive, we want to be healthy, and we want to be useful. But how do we become good soil? Next slide. How can we become good soil? Well, I have 3 ways. We have 3 ways in which we become good soil. And the first one is very simple. We just need to ask God to help us, because God's the one that can help us. How might we ask God to help us? Do any of you pray at home? Is praying something anyone does at home? Yes, you pray at home. Brilliant. Do you ask God to help you for things? Or do you ask God to give you things? Because we can all ask God to help us to be good soil. Thank you. We've talked about asking God for help. And I think, we really need to be praying for other people as well as for ourselves, that we would be good soil. And we can do that. Yes, we can do that here at church, but we can also do it at home as well. We can do it every day. What other ways can we be good soil? Next slide. So we can listen. Shep's got there first. I'm trying to work out, is Oscar coming or is he going somewhere else? Yes, he's coming. There we go. Brilliant. We can listen and learn from God. And that's what we've been looking at this morning. He who has ears, let him hear. Are we listening to God? When we come to church, are we listening to what Jesus is saying to us? How about at home? How can we listen to God at home? Yeah. Sorry?
Listen to your parents.
You can listen to your parents. Oh dear. How can we listen to God at home? Well, one of the ways we can listen to God at home is we can have a look at the Bible together and find out what God says there, and we can pray to God as well. And what's the final way that we can be good soil? We can just want to be good soil. I think if we want to be good soil and we ask God to be good soil and we listen to God, that's how we're going to be good soil. We can be eager and keen to get to know Jesus better. And is that you today? Do you want to know Jesus better? Are you keen to know him? Or are you thinking, here we go, it's another Sunday? Or are we excited?